On February 15, 1898, the USS Maine was sunk in Havana, Cuba. The United States then declared war with Spain, beginning the Spanish American War. This war between the two countries became a turning point for the United States, as their decisions questioned the American beliefs on self-determination, as America became the empire it was trying to stop.
During the Gilded Age, right before the Spanish American War, it was a case of the rich getting richer and the poor not making too much progress. We tended to focus on ourselves after the Civil War. So this was a time when industry was looking to expand markets and imperialism was beginning to show.
Before the Spanish-American War, the United States sent the USS Maine to Cuba to ensure the protection of American businesses due to the War of Independence between Cubans and the Spanish rule. On February 15, 1898, the USS Maine blew up due to mysterious circumstances. In America, the media played a major role before and during the war.
Well, that was a time of yellow journalism where they would create all kinds of stories that, the Spanish were doing this atrocity or that one. Most of it wasn't true. William Randolph Hearst knew that was how to sell papers, and people read it, blamed the Spanish, and then obviously Remember the Maine became a rallying cry when the ship exploded, and they quickly blamed Spain for it, even though to this day there's no concrete proof that that happened.
After the sinking of the Maine, the United States demanded control of Cuba from Spain, or war would be declared. In response, Spain declared war on April 24, 1898. The United States declared war the following day. On May 1st, 6 days after the U.S. declared war, the Battle of Manila occurred. The United States sent George Dewey's fleet of 9 ships to bombard the Filipino capital of Manila. In the battle, the American fleet completely sunk the defending Spanish ships. Spain lost their control over the Philippines. The Battle of San Juan Hill was a major battle that occurred on July 1st, 1898 in Cuba that helped determine the outcome of the war between the two countries. With the leadership of Teddy Roosevelt, the United States won the bloodiest battle in the war. Both sides of the Spanish-American War agreed to finally end on December 1st, 1898 with the signing of the Treaty of Paris. Along with the treaty, Spain had to sign away their control of Cuba, while the Philippines, Guam, and Puerto Rico was annexed by the United States. Cuba became a protectorate of the United States after the war. The United States will send economic and military assistance. Then the United States government passed the Platt Amendment. The amendment stated that Cuba could not ally with other countries, forcing Cuba to lease land to the United States to build naval bases, and as well as giving the United States the ability to intervene in Cuban affairs. The United States at the time set up the now infamous naval base in Guantanamo Bay. As tension between the United States and Cuba increased due to the Platt Amendments, from 1906 to 1922, the United States sent military forces to deal with Cuban revolts that rose against the restrictions from the United States, and as well as political divisions in the country. U.S. companies owned 60% of the Cuban sugar industry until 1962, when Castro took power and the nationalization of U.S. businesses in Cuba, which then helped spark the Cuban embargo.
A lot of the customs and traditions in the Philippines are a result of over 300 years of Spanish rule. Catholicism is a major influence. Most of the people in the Philippines are Catholics. And also the colonial mentality, and where white is always beautiful, or things like that.
On January 23, 1899, the Philippines declares independence under the leadership of Emilio Aguinaldo, an ally to the United States during the Spanish-American War, but later becoming an enemy. The United States didn't recognize the declaration from the Philippines, sparking the Philippine American War. The war quickly shifted into guerrilla warfare as Aguinaldo realized he could not win a conventional war. The United States took a scorched earth policy, burning down entire villages and their inhabitants that were believed to help rebels. The war became very unpopular in the United States, as stories of U.S. troops burning down villages reached back home. In 1916, the Jones Act was passed, stating that the Philippines would be granted eventual independence, which the United States gave in 1946. However, the United States maintained their presence in the Philippines with their naval base in Subic Bay, with the Filipino government consent.
What is the current relationship between the U.S. and the Philippines?
I think it's good. I mean, you still see the protests when a United States dignitary comes to the Philippines, but then I think Americans are still favored by a lot of Filipinos. Consider the Americans as friends because Americans have always helped, especially in times of calamities.
Puerto Rico became a territory of the U.S. In 1917, residents of Puerto Rico were given American citizenships, but no right to vote.
In Puerto Rico, it changed everything because it changed the government, it changed currency, it changed the way that everything worked, basically. It's a very strange system. So we vote on presidential primaries, but we don't vote on the actual presidential election, which makes no sense to me. We have a resident commissioner at the House of Representatives. It's a person that has a voice but no vote. We don't have a representative on the Senate either. So all of the laws that get passed in the U.S. apply to Puerto Rico, but we don't get a vote to say if we agree or not. So I think it's one of the reasons why I would like it to become a state, because that way, we get all of the responsibilities and all of the benefits at the same time. Because right now, Puerto Ricans, they serve on the military, they get drafted also. I've had family members in the military. We get help from like FEMA and all of this other Pell Grants for college, but we don't get to participate on the decision process. We get the benefits and we get the responsibilities, as in the consequences basically, but we don't get to participate on the decision. So that's why I think we should be able to vote.
Despite the Spanish-American War not being well known to people today, it has majorly impacted relations with former and current Commonwealth countries. Today, Puerto Rico remains as a U.S. territory. The idea of self-determination is a core American belief that the United States failed to recognize in countries they acquired during the Spanish-American War. Recently in Cuba, the conflict between the two countries has been subsided with the lift of the Cuban embargo. The United States still holds their presence in the Philippines with the reinstatement of the Subic Bay Naval Base due to Chinese aggression. Ultimately, the Congress of the United States has given the choice to the Puerto Rican people to decide if they wish to become either a state or independent. This splendid little war was a little more than a little war.